Hello people of the web and welcome back to Creators Thoughts. I've been going around and around in circles today and I want to complain. Wah! If you don't recognise the wah, then please go look up the Monty Python Argument Clinic sketch. You will thank me. Back to the podcast. My complaint is actually about the final straw that may have ruined my day. There is a lesson for all content creators in it. But first, we need to go back to Friday. Mrs. Dragon and I moved in last year. The kitchen in our new home was installed about 15 years ago. During the kitchen's long life, it survived 3 different families that have rented, a couple rats deciding to take residency, and a slow leak caused by the rodent residents choosing to nom on the dishwasher hose. Oh, and not to forget, exposed copper on some mains cables from when the rats decided to move on to dessert. So, the old kitchen was ripped out by yours truly, rat droppings cleared up, the source of the rat problem located and filled in with concrete to prevent any further lodgers, and then I stood in the shower for hours hoping to wash away the visual memories of the rat poop. So much rat poop. Ugh. Our kitchen is now an empty room, nothing in it except a single smart device that probably thinks we moved out and is slowly going insane from the lack of contact with humanity. Or appreciating a break from me asking it constantly to convert American freedom units to the units pretty much everyone else uses. If the cheesecakes didn't turn out as well as they do, I'd consider getting a book with measurements that don't cause me to get very, very annoyed. Did you know that there are US teaspoons and imperial teaspoons? Neither did I. And most cooking books don't even tell you which one they use. Oh, I did have a story before I went on this tangent. So, empty since March, we've been making use of my office kitchen for a few months. But on Friday, we sat down with a kitchen designer to finalise our layout. It's going to be beautiful. Expensive, but beautiful. As soon as I was handed the quote, the salesman encouraged me to pay a deposit because the quote is only valid for 3 days. I'm one of the few people that reads purchase agreements, so I decided to read over the weekend, and if happy, I'd pay the deposit on Monday. Today is Monday, and after Mrs. Dragon and I spent a while looking through everything, we decided we were happy to purchase, and it was my job to call to make the deposit. Mr. Salesman informed me we could pay for everything now, and it would be ordered and delivered in a few months. But he encouraged us to pay the deposit of 10%, and then you have 12 months after the install, which is 3 months away, to pay the balance. If it goes past that date, then they start taking payments with interest. Essentially, we can keep the cash in a savings account to offset our mortgage, and just pay 15 months down the line. It's a no-brainer. So, Mr. Salesman and I go through everything on the phone, and he wants my employment earnings. I work for my own company, so my wage is about 1/3 of my income. He insisted on putting just my wage down. The automatic system said no. The bank will call you to check details, he explained. The bank called and took 30 minutes asking for my income breakdown, something that should take a minute. Eventually, he says, "Thank you, Zach. I should have a response for you within an hour." Great, a little bit more headache than expected, but most people aren't employed by their own company, so fair enough. An hour passes. No update from the bank. Mr. Salesman calls and tells me that the bank spoke to him, and they had my income as 10 times what it should be. They must have made an error, he says, and asks me to call. So, not solved yet. I'll call the bank, wait to get through to someone, do my identity verification, and speak to a second person at the bank who takes the same info as the first person before confirming that's what they had on record and I would be getting a call or email soon. So, a pointless call. 30 minutes later, the bank phones me again and I speak to a third person. This one understands things immediately and we go through the breakdown again. She then explains the first person is in training, so she has to check his work. Which means the first call was just me being used to train their staff. 30 minutes call, that was pointless. An email arrives from the bank. Success. Sign here and done. Finally. I'm not sure the interest-free period was worth the time I spent on the phone, but at least it's over. Another email arrives, this time from Mr. Salesman, to confirm everything is good, and it was at this point that I was ready to flip over my amazing desk provided by FlexiSpot. #ad, link available on my website. But why? We've achieved the goal of securing the kitchen and with an interest-free loan to boot. Mr. Salesman used Comic Sans on his email footer. And that was the feather that ruined my experience, or the feather that broke the camel's back. You know the expression. And this brings me to my point. I know, hard to believe that I have a point. No one should ever be using Comic Sans, unless it's for the irony. It's disgusting, and frankly, it deserves to be Thanos snapped out of existence. Content creators of the world, I implore you to not just avoid using Comic Sans, but to speak out against it. If you see someone use it, I think it's your duty to say, "Is that Comic Sans?" ? Followed by a puking face emoji. Anyone who dares to use it needs to be educated on the harm it can cause. It ruined my day. Let's stop it from ruining someone else's. This episode was a little bit different, but I enjoyed it. If you have any feedback, please be sure to share it. Give this episode a like if you feel it deserves it. Thank you very much for listening. Bye bye now.